And what we're going to cover over the next 2 hours or so, won't seem like 2 hours, is what do we mean by cloud optimized routing, why people call us the ways of the internet, why we do what we do, how we do what we do, and why we see it as the future of the global internet. Just a couple housekeeping items. I'll give a little bit of background, just 5 minutes on the company. I'll turn it over to Elad Rave, our CEO, who will look at the business drivers, what was the genesis of the company, and why we see ourselves making an impact in the marketplace. And then he'll turn it back over to me for an introduction to the Teridion Global Cloud Network. That's our basic technology. And then we'll turn it over to probably the more interesting part, Bill, who will go through a number of live demos. So just as a bit of introduction, this is our headquarters. We have our engineering and DevOps in Petah Tikva, right outside of Tel Aviv in Israel. About 35 people there, about 10 people here. In fact, we do run a network, as you'll see, the Global Cloud Network. It's a SaaS network offering. We've raised Series A, Series B, about 20 million to date. 2 top-line Israeli VCs, Magma and JVP. And then for our Series B, we brought on board Singtel Innovate. That's the VC arm of Singtel, the service provider. Product GA'd in October 2015. Elad will give you much greater background and insight on why he created the technology in the company. But net-net, company's been around for about 2.5 years. The product was being worked on for about 2 years before that, so there's effectively over 4 years of intellectual property development that went into our solution. You'll see that it's a multi-billion-dollar addressable market, and we've already announced some key customers. Box, you've probably heard of. Ignite, think of them as more enterprise version of Box. Through, up there, just recently launched. And then we have a couple accounts in the ad and app serving space and the real-time communication space. So you'll see that the technology is pretty versatile across a number of different verticals. So let me give you a really quick introduction. You know, what do we mean and how do we do what we do and why we do what we do? So let me try to get this to a larger screen. What we're showing here is a remote session to Amazon West. It's really a virtual machine that's running our Teridion virtual cloud router. And what we've created is both a regular internet connection as well as a virtual backbone network. We'll tell you what that means, but that's over the Teridion Global Cloud Network between these virtual machines and between 3 different points in Amazon. 1 east, 1 in Ireland, and 1 in Japan. And what you'll see is what we mean by 20 times performance improvement. It could actually exceed that depending upon the time of the day, the traffic characteristics, and which international links are being loaded. So let's just race them. It's 100 meg zip files, so there's no compression, no dedupe going on. We'll send it to Ireland, send it to Japan, and then send it to US East. Results are pretty consistent over the Teridion infrastructure. You saw anywhere from 2.6 to 4.1 seconds. Obviously, that's because of the distance. The right side is still going. I can let it run for a while, tell some jokes, do a tap dance, or do you want me to cut it off?
Can you tap dance?
No. On the concrete, it probably can. So we'll just let it go. What you'll basically see is what can happen over any cloud service provider that we're working with. Any type of user traffic, you'll see that it's independent of the application or the service that it's being used for. It's not just HTTP or HTTPS. And as you'll hear a little bit later, it's bidirectional, non-caching. So it's very different than a traditional cache edge CDN architecture. So as you would expect, US East will run to completion first. I'd estimate that we're looking at about a 24.7. So the links are congested even in the United States right now. Japan, because of geographical proximity versus running over to Ireland, that's going to be next. 22. And then Ireland, once that's finished, maybe in the range of 27 to 30, but we'll have to run it. So what we'll see, by the end of the discussion and the end of the demos is actually how we do this, how it's repeatable, how it's consistent, and how our customers can take advantage of it. And we hear those noises every day out here. 27. Okay. Let me go back to the presentation. So you heard the analogy, the ways of the internet. And as Alad's going to describe it, it's really Waze plus, because Waze sometimes creates its own congestion. But at a high level, we have global points of measurement that allow us to see what's happening on the internet, allows us to make some intelligent decisions on where to carry customer data, and allow us to deploy our virtual routers in the appropriate spots to give our end users the best quality that's possible.